So hi everyone, welcome to the course and we will be continuing with our array method. So we already looked into how our array looks and why do we need it and how we can iterate over an array. Now let's see some of the methods of an array. And what are these methods? These are basically some inbuilt methods which we will be using to perform some operation. If I want to add some element in the array, how can I do that? If I want to remove an element, how will I do that? And some more operations. So let's start with this. So here in array, what I am going to do is I will just leave this particular array and I basically want to comment it out, everything. So let's create an array called so you can have any array. So I will be creating over here, let's suppose that price course. Okay, price course is equals to, so in this array I am going to add multiple values. Okay, let's suppose I added our 2500 as a string, okay, and 5000 as a number. Then I'm going to have a 30,000 and 10 or 20. Okay, so this is a array of length 5. Now I want to iterate over it. So one thing we saw that we can iterate over things by using for loop. Okay, but there is some another way which is known as for each loop. For each loop, what it does is it will run your whole of the function for each and every element. And how you will use that thing, let's see. So for that you need to use price course, which is your name of your array, dot you will use for each method. So the inbuilt one. So this method takes your 3 arguments or parameters. So one is item. So I am using arrow function over here. What is an arrow function? Let me just tell you simply. Like if I am writing something, let's suppose I am doing let ABC equals to, and I'm just saying console.log ABC function. So I need to call this function. How I will be calling this function? Simply as I call normal function. Okay, so this is my whole of the function. Now see, I'm going to open it with the live server. So you need to use your file name array.js. Okay, and now rerun it. This is still coming as intro.js. So open this again. Inspect it, go to console and reload it. You will see ABC function is printed over here. Okay, so this is your arrow function, because instead of using normal function, you create this arrow and inside that you write whatever you want to perform. So don't worry, we'll look into detail, but we have to cover for each. So that's why I'm just telling you that this is how we create arrow function. Arrow function is an optimized one because it is an inline function. Whenever we have to execute or perform an operation which can be done in a single line, we always go for our arrow function. Okay, so in here what you need to do is, this takes 2 parameters, item, your index and your array. But let's look what is an item over here. So I want to console.log. What do I want to console? I want to console my item. Okay, so let's see what you will get when you are putting your item here. So see, you are getting all the elements of your array. Okay, so if you put index, then you will get index also along with the element. See, this particular element is present at index 0, this at 1, this at 2, this at 3 and 4th. Okay, so this is how your index can be printed. And if you are putting array, then whole of the array will be printed over here. See, First time it's printing item, after that it is printing index, and then your whole of the array every time. So this will automatically start from 0 and it will go till array length. This is the use of for each, that I don't have to initialize every element and I don't have to put the condition and the steps. It will already going to follow that things. Okay. So one more thing, that over here it's a for each. How for each works? This whole of the method, where when an item, see, index is 0, at that time this whole method will run for this particular thing. Okay, and this will print the value. Then next time when I will be incremented, index will be incremented, whole method will run for this. Similarly, it will go till end. Okay, so now let's remove this thing, and what I want over here is, let's see, just give me a moment. So here we will use array methods now. What are array methods? Let's see. Just do Control Z and let this be. You can remove your index and array because I don't need to use it, so I will just print the number. Now there is something called push. What does push means? So I want to push. Push is a method which we use. Okay. So push method is there in array. This is an inbuilt method, but you can't just write a function over here and everything is done. No. To use this push method, you will use price quotes dot push. This means you are using this method because you want to push an element. That means you want to add an element at the end of the array. So this is the array. So if you will be adding any element, it will be present at the last of the array. How? See, if I am writing 1000, okay, so and this will print your array, you know that. So let's see the answer. See, your 1000 is also printing. So if you don't want to see each and every element, you just want to console your array at once, do that. Price course, and now check. See, your array is having 1000 at the end. So whenever you use a push method, that means you are including an element at the end of the array. Okay, so let's suppose you want to pop any element. So for that you will do the same. Select your array with the array name and use your pop method. When you do pop method, it will remove or delete the last element from the array. See, now 1000 is not visible over here. If you will say pop one more time, that means now 20 will also be deleted. See, your array size is also reduced. That means it is doing updation in the actual array. Next method comes over here is unshift. How unshift works? You saw that push methods includes an element at the end of the array. Now unshift is the opposite from push method. It is going to include an element in the start of the array. See, if I am writing 5 over here, so it should give me 5 in the start. See, 5 is there in the start. So if you want to include one more element, let's suppose you want to add 45. So now 4 will be at the first place and 5 will be at the first place, then 45 is going to be at the second place. So this is how you can shift the positions of the element. Now remember, when you are using pop method, you are not able to delete any of your element from the specific position. You can always delete from the end of the elements. So as you used unshift to include an element at the start of the array, you can similarly pop an element from the start of the element, but not using pop method. There is something called shift method for that. Okay, so same way, use this unshift method. So you don't need to write anything inside shift, you just use a method. See, your 5 is removed from the array. Now that we have covered all these four methods, now we have our splice method. So I'm just removing this thing. See, if I'm writing price dot splice, let's see what does splice means. So I'm putting 1 and I'm again writing 1 over here. See, just look at this array. Now the size of the array is 5. But here I have size as 4 because I have used splice 1, 1. That means this is the starting point and this is the end point. What I'm doing with this splice method is I want to delete an element from the specific position. So I am writing the position over here. That is my index 1. Now see, your index 1 element is 5000 over here. But in the browser, you will see that 5000 is not there in the array. That means that particular thing is removed. So if you are writing 1 over here and you are putting 2, 3 over here, see. That means how many element is deleted? Start from this index, 5000, 3000 and your 10. That means starting from index 1, 3 elements are deleted. Similarly, if you want to put extra elements, you can do that also. Let's suppose so this is the starting point of the deletion. That means the index. And how many elements I want to remove is the second one. Third one is that if I'm writing something at the third place, that means I want to include that element from the position, at that position from where I removed the element. Okay, so that's why your 40,000 is present at second position. So basically it is the position is second but index is 1 because index starts from 0. So now if you want to separate some portion from the array, how you can do that? You will use slice method for that. First of all, use your array name and that put a slice method. So see, you will put the initial point and your final point. So that there will be no confusion, I am just removing your splice method. See, your actual array is printed as it is. Why? Because this slice method will give you a copy. Okay, it will give you a copy of your actual array. It is not going to manipulate your original array. So that's why you can see that your whole of the array is printed as it is. But if you want to console this thing, so write console.log and put it over here. See, this is having 0, 1 and 2, 5000, 3000 and 10. But see, I have written the initial starting index, that is starting from 1. So you have 5000, then 1 index is 3000 and then 10. But why 4th index is not included? Because it always takes the start point and the end point, where end is never included in that. It will stop the array from n minus 1. That means position minus 1. The length of the array minus 1. Okay. So this is your slice method. If you want to perform any operation on this, then you can do that also. So this was your all the methods of the array which you can use. So thank you so much everyone. See you in the next lecture.